New York City is nothing on this city.
That's crazy too, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's
New
a
York
lot
City
to say.
exists,
And I
yeah.
do love New York. I have great New Yorker friends, but when they
Yeah.
come here, a lot of
It's
those
just
guys.
a different feel. It's a different vibe. I never lived in New York. I've just only been there for the short trips and stuff. Berlin is just Berlin. There's nothing like it in the whole world. I can't imagine that there could be another Berlin anywhere. You know, it's just.
I was one of the first expats in that scene, the techno scene, to move out there, and the New Yorkers that would come and visit me afterwards couldn't blame me. I felt bad, and New York is second to none for a lot of stuff. But when they would come over, it was gratifying to hear from their feedback that I wasn't doing something stupid. Like, what are you thinking? New York is New York. New York.
Yeah.
I'm from, you know.
The Berlin Calling, it was typical, like this whole, they showed the whole drug scene, obviously, because that had a huge role in this whole, but in the end, it was kind of like, wasn't, after the wall, it was like peace and love and MDMA and like ecstasy kind of a thing. It wasn't necessarily like what you think of when you think of like someone, you know, snorting cocaine or something like that, like a Wall Street guy or aggressive. It was more like love and happiness and freedom after this whole, you know, socialistic society finally crumbled, you know?
Yeah.
And, like when I came here, that was cool. You already had that in 94 to like 2004. But when I first came here, and I came in like 2006, I was like, what? I was like, that shit's still like in the, and people, you know, it's a generation that I'm talking to my father-in-law and he's like, dude, I raised my kids in that society, you know?
True. Yeah. That was a
weird.
massive impact. And I think that's what really glued me to that area too. I was just, I lived in New York City before I came to Berlin, and I was there for the music industry. I was in marketing. I did well, a lot of traveling, and that was the reason we went to Berlin during a love parade.
Love Parade, exactly.
And they thought, well, if you want to work, we were going to become allied to this Berlin company, which I eventually worked for. And they said, if you want to be part of us and be the U.S. distributor for our music, why don't you guys come on over and see this love? I had no idea what I was getting into. Love Parade. What sounds really weird.
Was it like the first one that they had? Because they kind of started it all right in that time period.
July 94, so it was like the third or fourth year.
Yeah.
And they were still marching. I think it was the last year they went down Kurfürstendamm, like the Broadway of Berlin.
Okay.
Or the 42nd Street. And I was like, freak show. Like, this is amazing. And I quit my job. And I moved to Berlin with a backpack 6 months later, and my then girlfriend.
It just like you were like, that's it.
I was blown away.
I met my girl.
Yep.
What, you met Claudia?
That came later.
Okay, so that was a
came
different
later.
girlfriend. Okay. All right.
But at the time, this girl had a German passport as well as an American, one of these, multinationals, and
Like our kids.
yeah, it was just one of these weird things where international travel and e-commerce started becoming common, and Berlin had this Germany as a whole had this magnetism, east and west, just kind of healing its wounds and coming together. I was drug free. I was just drinking a lot, but it just really worked for me. And
Alcohol is also a drug, Mr. Snow.
Unfortunately, that's what they say. That's what they say.
Yeah.
I'll put that down.
So it really got like it enamored you from right at the beginning.
Amazing. Yeah. I was like, New York City is nothing on
That's
this city.
crazy too, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's
New
a
York
lot
City
to say.
exists,
And I
yeah.
do love New York. I have great New Yorker friends, but when they come here, a lot of
It's
those
just
guys.
a different feel. It's a different vibe. It's not necessarily
Yeah.
better or worse. It's just a
That's what I should say. Yeah.
yeah. Like I know what you mean. Like I mean, I never lived in New York. I've just only been there for the short trips and stuff. But it just even like, yeah, it's just Berlin is just Berlin. There's nothing like it in the whole world. I can't imagine that there could be another Berlin anywhere. You know, it's just.
I was one of the first expats in that scene, the techno scene, to move out there, and the New Yorkers that would come and visit me afterwards couldn't blame me. I felt bad, and New York is second to none for a lot of stuff. But when they would come over, it was gratifying to hear from their feedback that I wasn't doing something stupid. Like, what are you thinking? New York is New York. New York.
Yeah.
I'm from,
Yeah.
And they thought, no, this really makes sense. This is amazing. What everybody's doing here with techno and club scenes and what you can do. In New York City, they had like crowd capacity rules, and you couldn't have smoke machines per, so much smoke per cubic meter, and fire alarm codes. I mean, vicious club politics. They'd call the police on each other's parties. Nothing was happening. And in Berlin, like, you could cut the air with a knife. It was so thick with cigarette smoke, and I didn't smoke, but I thought, this is anarchy.
Feeling when you're partying, you can't fucking see what you're doing. It's awesome.
It was bizarre. So that connected to me as far as
That's
something
true.
new.
I mean, as far as like if you're gonna think about it as like like if you're gonna party, right? If you're just like tonight we're gonna party. It's 10 o'clock. I love that whole thing where like I used to do that in Vegas. Like I get up around 6 p.m. and by about 10 o'clock I'm shit, shower, and shave. I would always say, you know, like you got to get your
three
basics,
S's, yeah.
and then it's like let's go party, and you're like clear eyed, ready to go. Don't eat anything. Like eat something little, just eat a little something, because and then it's like you're on the floor around 11 or whatever, and it's starting to hit, and then like you do that in the States. I mean, unless you're in Las Vegas, because they don't really. But Las Vegas is just a whole different thing. It's just too fake.
Its own planet.
Yeah, but it's all just it's not. It's just all too much, because like in Berlin, it's happening all the time. So if it's a Tuesday night and you go to the right club and it's like what's like Watergate, or I don't know where the clubs that were working back in the day. Like what was the name of the club that you used to work at? Like that was connected to the label.
That was Tresor.
It's still there, right?
Yeah.
You go to fucking Tresor. We can get on the
massive.
train right now.
Yeah.
And fucking get some techno on.
Wednesday night. It's one of the best nights of the week.
It's one of the best nights of the week.
€5 cover charge, and I don't even think they pay the DJs. They call it headquarters. So it's like these no-name guys fighting to make a name for themselves.
Yeah, here it is. Tresor. Look at that fucking website.
They've been there since day one, and they're great people. They run a good shop.
Shout out to Tresor.
Yeah, honestly, the guy running the show, Dimitri.
I'm just name dropping now.
Dimitri Hageman. Yeah, I should give him props. He really he runs things over there. It's a good thing, and he's a good guy too. He's not like a slimeball promoter.
Has he been there from day one?
Yeah. He started off he hit it at the right time and had great ideas, and he's still just an amazing person to talk to.